Hello, this is Yomakurum. These days, the car market is in a tricky spot. People say electric cars are the trend, but when it comes to actually buying one, there are a lot of concerns. Will charging be convenient? Will the driving range decrease in winter? What if there are no charging spots at my apartment? Won't it be inconvenient when going on long trips? But then, if I look at regular hybrids, there's still something lacking. The reason is, although the fuel efficiency is good, it's still basically a gasoline car. When it comes to the quietness and smooth driving feel of an electric car, it's definitely lacking. But you know what? There's a car that appears at this ambiguous point. It's the BYD Sealion 6 DMI. This car is called a super hybrid. It's not just a simple plug-in hybrid vehicle like the ones you know. Simply put, you can drive it like an electric car during the week, and on weekends, you can drive long distances like a gasoline car. It's an SUV. So, how is the Sealion 6 DMI different from conventional hybrid vehicles? I'll explain in one go why it could become a serious threat if it's released in the domestic market, and also what the most sensitive issue, the price, might be. Especially this month, I told you about the Busan Mobility Show. You can check out the video above for more details, but it looks like the main vehicle there will be the Sealion 6. But here's an important question. Are all consumers really ready to buy a pure electric vehicle right now? No, they're not. Some people don't have a suitable charging environment. There are also people who drive long distances a lot, and there are definitely people who still feel a bit uneasy about electric cars. But if you go with a regular hybrid, you end up envying the quietness and instant acceleration of electric cars. So maybe what domestic consumers want right now is a car like this, a car that brings as many advantages of electric vehicles as possible while reducing the anxiety about electric cars. That's why BYD is about to launch the Sealion 6 DMI super hybrid car, as I mentioned before. So then, what are the differences? The structure of a hybrid vehicle is that the engine connects to the wheels, and there's a motor in between. The motor is basically an auxiliary component. This means the engine is the main player, and electricity is just an assistant. Especially, a hybrid vehicle is basically an internal combustion engine vehicle with a motor added to it. So, although we classify them as series or parallel types, in reality, the structure is basically the same. For the Sealion 6 DMI, electricity flows from the battery to the electric motor, then to the wheels. In this structure, the engine plays a supporting role. The Sealion 6 is based on an electric vehicle, but an engine is added for power generation. So, a lot of subscribers have asked this question. In the end, isn't the Sealion 6 also a plug-in hybrid vehicle? If you fill it with fuel and charge it with electricity, how is it different from a conventional PHEV vehicle? In terms of classification, it is considered a PHEV. But the important thing is to look at how this car actually runs and its structure. In the Sealion 6 DMI, the electric motor is the main player and the engine just provides a bit of support from behind. With the charged battery, starting, low speeds and most city driving are all powered only by the electric motor. So the sensation the driver feels is much closer to a real electric car than a regular hybrid vehicle. If no one told you, as the driver, you'd probably think it's an electric car. It's quiet, smooth, and the acceleration response is quick. That's because there's no shifting shock. So, when do you use the engine? In electric cars, high-speed driving actually has worse efficiency than city driving. In these cases, it's definitely more efficient for the engine to drive the wheels directly. The engine can only participate in driving in these situations. In a way, a PHEV is a vehicle that can even cover the disadvantages of electric cars. It's a PHEV. It's a PHEV. This is the part where the Sealion 6 DMI is most different from conventional hybrid vehicles. To explain it more simply, if you compare a regular hybrid vehicle to a smartphone, it's like a phone with a small battery. It only has a power-saving mode, so you can use it slightly longer, but it's not meant to run on electricity alone for long after charging. On the other hand, the Sealion 6 DMI is like a smartphone with a large power bank. Compared to regular hybrid vehicles, it has a battery that's about 8 to 10 times larger. On top of that, it has a small generator built in. If there's enough electricity, you can just use it like an electric car. When the electricity runs low, the engine generates electricity or directly assists where it's more efficient, namely at high speeds. When traveling long distances, you won't need to worry about charging. Also, since you only need to refuel when necessary, you can drive long distances, which means you can use a PHEV comfortably, even with the short driving range of an electric car. So it's quite surprising that BYD is playing this card at this point in time. Then why haven't there been any PHEVs in Korea? Was it a technical issue? No, it was mainly a price issue, not technical. Currently, among the popular car models released in Korea, vehicles like Sportage, Tucson, Santa Fe, and Sorento are all being released as PHEVs in Europe. But the reason they haven't been released domestically is because they're expensive. PHEVs are inherently expensive. They need to have an engine. They also need an electric motor added. Compared to regular hybrid vehicles, I told you they have a much bigger battery. In other words, there are two systems inside a single vehicle. An internal combustion system and an electric drive system coexist. Because of this, the production cost increases. And the important thing is, in Korea, there was no subsidy for PHEVs. Therefore, since the price was almost more than twice as high as a regular internal combustion vehicle, people wondered, do I really need to buy a PHEV? So in the end, the PHEV market lost its place in Korea. The brand that directly overcame this weakness is BYD. BYD is a company that manufactures everything from batteries to electrification systems on its own. So the biggest weakness of PHEVs is the price difference. It's a brand that can completely break down that barrier. So it's a bit intimidating. It's much cheaper than electric vehicles. If it's released at the price of a full hybrid vehicle, which is currently very popular, then Sealion 7 could shake up the market with its price, just like it's causing a sensation now, right? So then how big will the Sealion 6 be? The body size is 4,775 mm in length, 1,890 mm in width, 1,670 mm in height, and the wheelbase, which represents the interior space, is 2,765 mm. So it's definitely bigger than the Sportage or Tucson, but a bit smaller than the Santa Fe or Sorento. From the perspective of domestic consumers, they don't really like SUVs that are too small, but if the SUV is too big, it can be a bit burdensome for the whole family to use. It can feel especially intimidating for women to drive. Sealion 6 found a compromise right in the middle. It's definitely more spacious than a compact SUV, and it's less intimidating than a mid-size SUV. And the second row space is important, as well as the practicality of the trunk, so you can say it's an SUV that families can use. With the PHEV system added, you can commute on electricity during the week, and with the help of the engine on weekends for long distances, you can drive over 1,000 kilometers. In conclusion, there are people who are debating between the Sportage hybrid and the Sorento hybrid. If you want an electric car, but still feel burdened by things like charging, this is a vehicle that can satisfy both needs at the same time. Now, what's really important is the price. No matter how good the specs are, if the driving range is short, or even if it has many advantages of an electric car, in the end, the deciding factor for consumers is the price. Recently, the Zeekr 7X came out at a higher price than what Korean consumers wanted, so many people have expressed their disappointment. So if you look at the car market, good cars and cars that sell well are definitely different. No matter how good a car is, if it's expensive, consumers hesitate. On the other hand, if the price is convincing, even if it's an unfamiliar brand, you'll still consider it as an option. That's why BYD is being recognized in the domestic market faster than expected. Now, let's try to predict the price of the Sealion 6. First, the cheapest market globally is of course the domestic market. In the Chinese market, it's 139,800 yuan. If you convert it to Korean won, it's a simple calculation. The starting price is in the high 20 million won range to the low to mid 30 million won range. Now, it's hard to bring it to Korea as it is. The reason is that it needs to get domestic certification, and you have to factor in separate tariffs, distribution margins, and warranty costs. What about the price in Australia? It's already being sold. In Australia, it's about $48,990. If you convert it to Korean won, it's about 43 to 48 million won. It's farther away than the Korean market. The tax and distribution structure differ. Is it like the Chinese market? No, the Australian price is a bit high. You may think this, but there's another market you should notice. It's Japan, right next to us. The reason Japan is important is because, just like the Korean market, there's a high loyalty to domestic brands. For this reason, BYD launched the Sealion 6 in the Japanese market at a very aggressive price. This is nearly equal to the domestic market, even compared to released models like the Atto 3C or Sealion 7. To tell you the price of the Sealion 6 in the Japanese market, the basic front-wheel drive model is 3,982,000 yen. And the all-wheel drive AWD model is about 4,488,000 yen. If you roughly convert it to Korean won, the basic model is about 37 million won. The AWD or all-wheel drive model costs about 42 million won, roughly 3 million won more. There's a really high chance that this price range will actually be the price in the domestic market. If it's released at this price range, it will overlap with hybrid vehicles of the same class in Korea. The domestic price hasn't been revealed yet, so just keep this in mind lightly for now. The channel expects the domestic release price to be in the mid to high 30 million won range to the low 40 million won range, and if it's in this price range, it could cause quite a stir. That's because it overlaps with the price of the upper trims of compact hybrid cars and the base trims of mid-size SUVs. So from a consumer's perspective, there's no choice but to compare them. If it comes out in the mid 40 million won range, then the story changes. In this market, you can choose from the Sorento hybrid, Santa Fe hybrid, and even electric SUVs. So I think there's almost no chance that BYD will launch the Sealion Sealion 6 in the mid 40 million won range, as some channels have predicted. So when will this Sealion 6 be unveiled? That's actually the reason I prepared this video. I mentioned that the Busan Mobility Show will be held starting June 26. Now, you can just refer to the video you're watching right now, and it's been confirmed that the Sealion 6 will be unveiled at the Busan Motor Show. Now, it looks like the Sealion Sealion 6 DFI will be unveiled soon. I'll quickly bring you this news from the Busan Motor Show. And if you see me at the event, feel free to give me a light tap. It would be great to say hello together. I was the first to bring you the news about the Sealion 6. I was also able to quickly share the news that it will be officially released in Korea. Alright, then I'll see you at the Busan Mobility Show. If you don't want to miss the next news and want to receive updates automatically, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thank you. If this was helpful, please give it a like, subscribe and turn on notifications to get accurate new car information quickly.
작은 도움이 되셨다면 좋아요 부탁드리고요. 구독과 알림 설정을 통해서 정확한 신차 정보를 빠르게 만나보세요. 감사합니다.